Hello, my love angels, and welcome back to another episode of Unsolicited with Faith, the show where I give you my unsolicited advice and opinions on life and pop culture. So today, I'm feeling equal parts excited and nervous because I feel really confident in the script that I've written today. However, the subject of today's material I feel is something a little more controversial, but it's something that I think a lot of us have been feeling recently but are too scared to say, and that is toxic femininity. In this video, I want to talk about what I think toxic femininity is, why the movement is becoming detrimental to women, and how I think we can move away from it. But before I say any of that, I need to give some disclaimers. Number one, I do not want to come off as a pick-me in any way, shape, or form. I am a self-identified feminist. I love women and womanhood, and that is exactly why I am making this video, because I fear for the state of it. Number two, I will be talking in extremes, absolutes, and hyperbole throughout the entirety of this video. Please take that with a grain of salt and understand that if you feel deeply offended by the things I'm saying, it might be because I'm talking about you. And number three, I understand that many of the archetypes and phenomena I will be talking about in this video are stemmed directly from trauma inflicted by men. That being said, I think that the way we are trying to move about overcoming that trauma and heal ourselves is becoming harmful to our well-being and something that we need to reshape in order to actually move into a healthier lifestyle. Okay, now that I have all of that out of the way, let's get into the video. So what am I talking about when I say toxic femininity? I think the best way that we can define this is looking at the definition of toxic masculinity. Here's one from the AI overview from Google. I actually think that pulling this definition from something like an AI generator is better because it's more of a cultural definition rather than some specific scholarly article definition from the 80s. AI overview states, toxic masculinity refers to a set of harmful beliefs, behaviors, and attitudes associated with traditional, often exaggerated notions of manhood, which can negatively impact men, women, and society as a whole. And I think that this running definition is something we're starting to see reflect in more recent years online around conversations of womanhood and femininity, specifically when it comes to dating men. I've categorized toxic femininity into two groups. We have our hyperdependent versus our hyperindependent. Our hyperdependent girl, you already know her, okay? She's going to be our trad wifer. And I'm not saying that all trad wives aspire to be this way. Where am I? But I am saying that all hyperdependent women aspire to be this way. Hyper-independent women tend to be extremely insecure and extremely male-oriented. They're the girls who, as soon as they start getting into a relationship or start taking things serious with a guy, they ghost you. Like, literally, your friendship never even existed. I also think of this girl as the one who is at the club on the night out with all her friends and is crying on the phone with her boyfriend because they got into an argument. That's her. I also think another good indicator of this group of women is the use of subordination as a mask for leaning into your femininity. This tends to manifest in aspiring to be a stay-at-home mom or girlfriend rather than having your own career or life. Almost immediately after I finished recording this video, I found this video by Kidology doing a deep dive on Kendall K, who is an online influencer, most famously known for her being a stay-at-home girlfriend. I think it's really interesting. It perfectly exemplifies all the problems that I have with this kind of content and glorification, and you should watch it if you're interested in that phenomena explicitly. And I'll put a link to the video below. They tend to want to get married and have children extremely young in their lives because they're afraid of being alone. And they also expect their boyfriends to pay for damn near everything in their lives, regardless of where he is in his life. I don't know, maybe you're getting frustrated that your boyfriend can't afford to pay for nice dates because he's a 20-year-old who can't move out of his parents' apartment. Like, But that's just me. That's just me. And truth be told, I really fear for this group. I don't think they want to be saved. I think that they remind me a lot of Charlotte from Sex and the City, just kind of listlessly dreaming and waiting for Mr. Right. And the news flash that I need them all to hear is that Mr. Right isn't coming. He's never coming, because all the things that you aspire for in a man and want are only things that you can give yourself. I think we've all had friends who are similar to this. We love them, we care for them, we see their potential, they're good people to their core, but like, God, they just have this crazy man fever that dictates their life. It's becoming an epidemic. I'm seeing more and more women fall victim every day, and I need us to snap out of it immediately. Yesterday. Now, our second group of women is going to be our hyper-independent, aka the man haters. Now, these are not just any kind of man haters. These are specifically straight or bisexual women who are attracted to men but hate that they are. These women also tend to think that the immediate solution to any conflict with a man is to break up with them. Like, no problem solving skills whatsoever, no voice of chance or willingness or desire to work things out. It's just immediate. And if they are in a relationship, which is very rare, they tend to treat their partner like dogs, like just as another kind of animal in their lives. Like, it sounds really bad to say out loud. What I'm trying to say is that they just don't really see their partners as equal. And in general, I just think the best summary of this kind of archetype is a person who sees relationships with men as transactional, very, very, very similar, if not the exact same as the sprinkle lady. If you don't know who that is, I'll try to put a video here to give you an idea.
Men do not love you. Okay? So stop thinking that they do. They tolerate you. They lust you. That's it.
If he doesn't feel more emotionally attached to you than you are to him, then cut it. Don't even feel that for him. Just collect the money. Remember, they're supposed to like you 10 times more. If that's not happening on his end, then stop. Stop worrying about it and just collect your money from him.
So, my theory. I think that actually many hyper-independent women, like the sprinkle lady, were originally hyper-dependent women who got hurt and scorned one too many times because they had really high, unrealistic expectations for a partner. And I think it is okay to have high expectations when you know your value and your worth, but I think that the issue with a lot of these standards and expectations is that it allows you to put too much trust into somebody that is not yourself. At this point in the video, you may be thinking to yourself, Faith, what's the problem here? And my issue is that both of these groups tend to advertise themselves as ways of empowering women, when in reality, it is only hurting us more. So, why is this movement toxic? My biggest issue for both of these groups of women is that they tend to place blame back on women for the actions of a man. I know I'm not the only one who feels this weird tone of competitiveness between women recently online, and it's really cultivating a community of judgment with very, very little empathy, because it's almost as if you're not with a man exclusively for money or the monetary advantages that being in a relationship with a man can give you, and then he messes up, you're the fool for acting as if and believing that this wouldn't happen. And I think this is really the biggest issue for me. It's creating a more hostile space between women where we cannot confide in each other with our relationship problems, which is literally like domestic violence avoidance 101. Like, you need to talk to your friends about the issues that you're having in your relationship, because especially with those of us who don't come from the best marital backgrounds to look up to, we need our friends to help us understand, is this okay? Is this not okay? Am I in the right? Am I in the wrong? But if every time you come to your friend with an issue with your relationship, the only piece of advice they can give you is to end it, it's like, things to work off here. Like, it's kind of just like an ultimatum, and then you get this feeling of like being a bad person or like a weak person or weak woman because you're not breaking up with your partner, even though you know that like if you would just talk to your partner or approach the situation differently, maybe things would have worked out. It's not healthy. Do you see how this is not healthy? Am I getting my point across? I also think another huge issue I see with this is the lack of humanization of men. I think both sides, both hyper-dependent and hyper-independent women, kind of see men as cash cows, which is bad for a number of reasons. Number one, you're putting yourself in a position to become completely and solely dependent on a man, which, once again, guys, domestic violence 101, don't become solely dependent on a man. And building off of the dehumanization part, I also think both groups of these women tend to take men's emotions out of the equation and out of consideration, but in different ways. I think it's pretty obvious how hyper-independent women do this. They kind of just don't really see them. They think that all men have bad intentions or bad motives and completely disregard their feelings. But in terms of hyper-dependent women, the opposite is true in that they kind of idolize and pedestalize the men in their relationships. And it kind of creates this like celebrity complex almost, where you think that this person is supposed to do X, Y, and Z because that's what you want them to do. But in reality, maybe they can only do one of those three things because they're just one person and they're not they're not able to give you the validation that you need. They're not able to give you the reassurance and confidence that you need, because those are things that and qualities you can only build within yourself first. And so when that person doesn't do those things, then that's when they kind of become demonized. And then that's when I think my theory of hyper-dependent women turning into independent women begins. And the other part is that both hyper-independent and hyper-dependent women center men. Once again, I think this is very obvious how hyper-dependent women center men in their lives. They think that they're kind of their provider, their rock, their other half, whatever. But hyper-independent women, I think, believe that they aren't centering men in their lives because they are kind of using the men that are in their lives. However, I think that if you are a person who deeply, deeply desires passion, romance, intimacy, love, and real connection, but you are now allowing yourself to experience that out of fear of being hurt by a man, then you are confining yourself. And therefore, you are allowing a man, this invisible man who is said to have hurt you or you fear will hurt you, to dictate your life. I also think that hyper-independent women feel they are at their best when they have a man around them for them to use and demoralize, because it gives them male validation without having to be emotionally vulnerable, and allows them to feel they have won the game or played the system to benefit the most, even though they are still slaves to the patriarchy the same way everyone else is, just in a different way. So finally, how do we move away from this mentality? I think that we just need to do the opposite. Do the opposite of everything that we've been doing in every regard. I really struggled in my earlier years, especially, to understand the male psyche. It was something that was really confusing to me, really hard for me to empathize with. And so last semester I took a men and masculinity class, and something that class has taught me, probably literally the most valuable lesson that I learned out of it, was to learn how to hold both empathy and accountability for men. It's not easy, I'll say. It took me a lot of cognitive in active thinking to come to that conclusion of how do I both empathize for men, understand their issues, and understand that they do not get the same kind of privileges that women get in terms of expressing their emotions, being able to be more physical with each other, being able to express our love more, being able to express our pain more, while also understanding that the pain they inflict on women is so prominent and needs to stop. And in all honesty, the more that I understand men and the male psyche, the less resentment that I hold for them. And the last thing I think we can do to try to move on from this phase of feminism, as strange as it may be, is to prioritize egalitarian relationships. This is a relationship where men and women tend to share a lot of the tasks, mainly domestically, so it's seen and observed most in marriages, but I think the overall idea of it can be simulated in any relationship, whether that be short-term or long-term. There's been a ton of studies on it that have shown it leads intensely to higher satisfaction in relationships and better sex. My favorite example of this right now is Levi and William's channel here on YouTube. I think their relationship is so beautiful. It's so loving. You can tell that they care for each other so much. And it also shows that it isn't more of an egalitarian relationship, but you can tell William tends to do more of the traditionally feminine roles, which is like making the food, homemaking, and Levi tends to do more of the like work when it comes to editing and working behind the scenes. And I don't know, it's just another relationship that's a little less conventional, but still kind of traditional in the sense that like the workload is split and it's just beautiful. I highly recommend. Okay, I think that is all I have to say for today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. I know I have my thoughts and I understand if a lot of them are things that maybe you don't disagree with, or maybe there's a perspective that you don't see, but I think the overall baseline I'm trying to get across is that the ways that we are trying to approach equality nowadays when it comes to relationships seems to be more harmful in our long term than we are realizing in the present. But yeah, I really hope that you got something out of this video. I love you all and I will see you next time. Bye bye.